Hey, yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? Welcome to Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast presented by DJ City and Beat Source. I am one of your hosts, DJ Crooked. We got Jamie the Great here.
Yeah.
We got a Las Vegas legend in the building. We got Jason Lima here.
What's up, what's up?
Rest in peace to our brother, DJ Never Forever.
Yes.
And today we're blessed with a true innovator in the EDM scene. From the club circuits of Northern England to the national stages, he's known for his electrifying, technically impressive DJ sets, never pre-recorded, always live, and real DJing. A true master of his craft. He has a weekly residency in Ibiza. He's got chart-topping production hits like Ferrari and his newest single, Don't Wake Me Up. He has a relentless drive and approach that's inspiring, and so inspiring, he recently spoke at Harvard University in Boston. Very honored to have him here. Please welcome Mr. Who Does This, James Hype in the building. What's good, sir? Hi, it's an honor to have you here, man.
Thank you, bro. I couldn't turn you guys down.
Why is that? Why do you say it like that?
Because I'm trying to say yes to fewer things, you know? I'm such a yes guy.
Oh, yeah. Yo, I didn't know you stayed in Vegas. So you're out here.
Yeah, so I spend like half the year touring the USA and then the other half in Europe.
Yeah.
And when I'm in between shows, this is my base.
Why Vegas of all places?
I do the most shows here out of anywhere in the US, and then properties like quite cheap here compared to other places.
Right. You get more bang for your buck.
Exactly, and everything's really convenient here as well. You know, like airport's 10 minutes away.
Right. That is the best shit compared to other cities like LA, New York is the worst.
Exactly.
Right. So wait, you're speaking of your residency at Zouk and IU Beach Club, right? That you're doing this year.
Yep.
And so like you have what, 150 and 160 shows?
Yeah, about that.
How many shows are in Vegas usually? Typically?
So 16 this year.
16.
And then
is that less or is that typical the number?
Typical for what? Me?
For you in Vegas, yeah.
I mean, that's the most I've ever done.
Really?
Because previously I was a Tau group, and I was doing fewer than 16, I'm not sure.
Right.
And then I've been doing 16 the past 2 years at Zouk, and then I think we're doing more next year.
Jason, you mentioned you used to spin with James at Tau and Marquee?
Marquee, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. How's your approach to Vegas? Like your sets? I've just heard a lot of DJs like saying their frustrations of the Vegas scene.
So I think for the people in my world, it can be a struggle because if you're someone who's a producer who's made some great records, and then you get thrown into Vegas, then maybe you don't really have the experience in how to play to the Vegas crowd, because the Vegas crowd's different, man. Like it's so diverse, and it's the club has a lot of people in there who don't necessarily know a lot of music. So you find yourself playing in a more approachable way, is that the right word? In a more sort of a way that more people will be able to engage with. And for me, I was a resident DJ in the north of England for like years, like more than 10 years. So I knew how to do that. But I think there's a lot of like dance music producers who they've made a massive track, but then they come to Vegas and they're like, oh wow, like what is this?
Is that the US market in general, or specifically Vegas that's kind of like stands out in the US market?
So I think there was this sort of stigma about the US market that people aren't very educated or whatever.
There was, or there still is?
I think there was.
I think there still is though.
But I don't even believe it. No, I don't believe it at all.
Really?
Like I think before I came here, I sort of maybe had this perception like, oh yeah, you got to like play differently, and but honestly I don't believe that anymore. I think in a lot of ways this country leads the way for electronic music. I wouldn't say that like Europe is irrelevant, because it's definitely not, but it's not so much like a leader and a follower thing anymore.
So like, how do you approach your Vegas sets? Like knowing that you're coming into like kind of a market that's more mainstream and commercial. So you have to be more vocal. Like, you know, like how do you approach it with your sets?
It's definitely more vocal.
Yeah.
I've got to try and make sure that I've got like records in my set for the people who don't necessarily like house music. Now that sounds kind of crazy, but you might have people in that club who don't like house music.
Yeah.
And there's still a way that you can play house music in a way that they'll understand. You know, like, oh, you dropped that like Drake remix and it has that 30-second moment where all the people who don't like house music, they'll be like, yeah, this is my shit. So it's just about that. And then for me as well, I have to remember to play like girly stuff, and that's something I have to force myself to do, because there's been some nights in Vegas where I'll be like just in my flow, and I will be like, yo, I haven't played, and I'll look at like a table and there'll be just like loads of girls, and I'll just like, they look bored, and I'm like, I've got to remember sometimes, like play because I don't really play like kind of girly stuff very often.
What is that? What would be a girly record?
Okay, so there's a good thing
What's your trigger, right?
There's a good thing that I do when I'm in Vegas, where I'll play. I have a remix that I did which samples Better Off Alone. And then I'll play that with the Last Night a cappella.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of like, oh yeah, here's a little something for Vegas.
And then girly pops.
All the girls get up out the seats. I'm like, yeah, you're done now.
What's good, everyone? This is P-Dot from Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast. Whether you're just discovering the podcast or a day one listener, if you've been loving the content and want more, here's your chance to support the pod, get closer to the action, and unlock exclusive content by joining our Patreon. For just $5 a month, you can join our Tier 1 R.O.A.D subscription. This is for our loyal listeners who want early access to new episodes 3 to 4 weeks ahead, your name in the credits of every video episode, and access to our exclusive R.O.A.D edits pack. For the hardcore supporters, we've got our Tier 2 R.O.A.D for Life subscription for just $10 a month. This is the all-in package. You'll get everything from Tier 1, plus a monthly bonus episode, early access to our exclusive R.O.A.D 10 and R.O.A.D Talk interviews, behind-the-scenes content, our In the Crate series, along with unreleased projects. This is your chance to support the podcast and get more of the content that you love. Join the family today at patreon.com/R.O.A.D podcast. Check the link in our descriptions. We appreciate you, and let's keep this journey going.
Anything with a birthday, it's your birthday or anything like that.
I thought he was gonna play like "Bitch Better Have My Money" or something like Rihanna or like.
I was thinking Katy Perry, something like that. Nicki Minaj, maybe.
Okay.
Is there like, is it well known throughout like all the EDM DJs or dance DJs? It's like Vegas is kind of like, you want to definitely have a residency in Vegas, but like be forewarned that it's not what it's all cracked up to be, or like you have to approach it differently.
I think there are actually quite a lot of DJs who are quite big who don't have a residency in Vegas, and I think that's probably a choice, because you do have to be able to have those, like, you have to have that ammunition in your toolbox to be able to play Vegas, and I guess some people, they just don't enjoy that.
How different was like your first time, like your first like year in Vegas? Like what year was it that you earned, like you had your first residency in Vegas?
22.
Oh, recently then.
Oh yeah.
Oh, shit.
Was that with us?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I probably played your first show.
Yeah, you might have.
Hey, you know what? I gotta say, I was quite impressed because I didn't know what to expect. I just know your online personality, and I was like, okay. And I'm old school, and when I saw you playing with the samples, I was like, this is nice. It's in the pocket, and it kind of reminds you of some of the old guys, like Murillo or some of these old New York cats that would throw acapellas, and I was like, this is fucking quality. And the DJs in the room that were there were like, okay. And it fell in the right pocket. It was good. It was very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We were just saying that it's a little more rare nowadays, or to just see a DJ on 4 different decks, like really like looping a bass line, like Eric Murillo used to do.
Yeah,
he used to like loop a bass line, then echo in an acapella, and then build up the drum track, and then like kind of put it all together live. And we were just like, holy shit,
we were amused.
It was crazy. Nice, but you take it to obviously another fucking level. But so when you were in Vegas, like your first time coming through, did you just kind of start learning like, oh shit, like this is a completely different market?
I mean, I'd probably built it up quite a lot in my head as well,
So there is kind of like a stigma. Like
there's definitely a stigma, yeah.
Right.
But I think, and also like when you're doing that kind of sort of super quick mixing and playing all the big anthems, like when someone tells you have to do it for 2 hours as well, that's quite a bit like, whoa, how am I gonna keep this, like, because for me, I need it to be there for Vegas. It's not like that. You can't do that.
Really?
It's got to be that's how I feel. Yeah, I'm like, well, there's someone plays before me. I come on. I've got 2 hours. I need to keep it there.
Wow.
And then the sort of pressure that I put on myself to do that for when I do it now, it's not really. It's nothing like I've.
Well, what's the comparison now? What's the comparison now? Like, how different are you now? What's the evolution?
I don't think I play differently in Vegas now. It's just I've done it so many times that I'm like, oh, it's Vegas. It's easy. It feels like I'm coming home, you know?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get to that point? Was like the first show, was it nerve-wracking? You're like, that was the shittiest show? Or were you like, got it down?
No, it was probably 6 or 7 shows in Vegas before it was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. But honestly, I think half of that's just in your head. Because like people hype Vegas up so much, like especially as a British guy, it's like, what the hell am I doing here, you know? So then it's like this big thing in my head. I was like, oh my God, I've got to do amazing. It's got to be the best. I want to make a name for myself. So I think you put the extra pressure on yourself as well.
Are you ever nervous? You never appear nervous.
Yeah, from your vlogs, you don't seem nervous at all. But I know editing's magic, so I'm like, I don't know.
I know. I'm like, I look at when you DJ, and I've watched some of your YouTube vlogs, and I'm just like, is this man ever nervous? Like, you know.
I don't get nervous very often. Like I'm doing EDC this weekend. I'll probably be a little bit nervous before that.
Yeah, but what is that like? What is the nervousness? What is it that gets to you?
I mean, when you actually break it down, there is no reason to be nervous. Because the only thing, when you're a DJ, the only thing that you can actually do that's bad is stop the music. And I've done it loads of times and nothing happened. You know?
Yeah.
Like how many times have you stopped the deck that's playing?
Yeah.
I mean, never. Really.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I did this past weekend. I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry.
No, but wait, when you get back to, let's say after your set and you go back to your room, is it like in your head, like you're like walking yourself like, that could have been a little bit better? Or there was that one moment where you're like, okay, I'm going to work on that a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm super critical, but I think one thing that I've learned, my perfectionism isn't appreciated by anyone else. So like like for example, I put so much out to the world. I'm like, here's this DJ set, here's this video. Like the stuff that I think is perfect, no one else cares. So I kind of have to let go of that perfectionism because when everyone else sees it, they interpret it differently anyway.
But you've also created so much content of you exposing like when you mess up a transition or a mix, like you turned it into like content or like a learning moment, right?
Yeah, man, you mess up on stage, you can get a few mil views.
I mean, that's very interesting. Like I was wondering how you juggle so much content, you know, like because you have a YouTube, and then you have like a live series, and then you have like a tutorial series for production, and then you have your marketing, and then you have like the shows, and then production. I'm like, how do you juggle all the travel, all the production, all the content, you know?
I mean, I there's no like schedule, there's no nothing like that. It's literally like, what are we going to do today? And then we do it. And it just comes from a desire to sort of give as much as possible. Like when I started DJing, there was no YouTube, there was no like, there was nothing, mate. I didn't even have any friends who DJ'd. Like when I started DJing, here's a funny story. I used to mix with the crossfader on like, you know, like the slow fade mode.
Yeah.
I thought that's how you mixed because no one taught me. So I had both up faders up and I was just going like that in the mix. And, and then I remember I got to somewhere and there were other DJs mixing. They were like, why are you doing that? And I was like,
that's how you do it.
Is that not what we do? So I just think we can like give so much now, and it provides so much value to people, and I love doing that.
Yeah, well, like you're from a part of England I've never heard about. It's heard from. It's like rural. Is that right?
So it's 10 minutes from Liverpool. So
okay,
when we're talking to Americans, we just say Liverpool.
Okay, but like, what is it? It's very suburban. It's very rural.
Yeah, it's pretty suburban. Yeah, pretty suburban. It's
because I know England. Like, if you're in the countryside, you're really separated from like, I don't know, from each other, right? Kind of.
No,
like,
no, it's not like that.
It's not like that. I thought it was just like
no. We live in like a regular street with loads of houses.
Oh, okay.
Houses.
It's like townhomes, right? It's like a lot of like
similar to that. Yeah.
So wait, what got you into DJing initially?
I just saw people doing it like in music videos and stuff, and I really can't tell you like the logic, but I was like, I want to do that, and I didn't even know how you did it.
Really?
So I just thought, I begged my parents. I was like, please let me get these decks, and I got the Newmark Battle Pack.
Same. That's the one I got
secondhand on eBay, and I had no idea what I was doing. And then my mum had records, and I went to like a record store and just bought like whatever was cheap. And I was like mixing Michael Jackson with Biggie acapellas and stuff. And I was just obsessed.
So you using
with
your
it.
parents' records?
Yeah.
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 Wait, what was the DJs or the music that you saw that you were inspired by?
Yeah,
Who were
that's
they?
what I was going to ask you. Like,
Yeah.
who was doing what you're doing
'Cause
now that you're like, okay, there had to be one person.
Well, I was wondering, did you come from an open format or like,
Oh yeah,
you know, hip hop?
I played open format for years. Yeah.
So I was wondering if that was the grassroots of you know, how you
So
started.
I think when I first got decks, I was obsessed with hip hop music. But I
like what? Like what?
I used to listen to like Mobb Deep and Gangstar.
Really? Get the fuck out of here.
He's a New Yorker. He's a New Yorker.
You were a backpacker?
He's a
Like, for real?
backpacker. You had the Jansport on. You know?
What?
What year was this? Roughly around what year?
Oh, this was
Probably like late 2000s.
No, because he said YouTube wasn't around, so this had to be before 08, 06.
trying to figure out the math.
You're like 89, so it had to be
I was
like
born
late-
89. So
Oh, me and you're the same age. Okay.
so yeah, this would be when I was 15. So
2005, 2004.
yeah.
Yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're like 50 Cent. You're like playing all that shit. Wow.
Yeah.
Magic Stick, all that. Wow.
Cameron.
So you initially were like trying to play hip hop and be a hip hop DJ. So you were like scratching and shit. or-
I've never scratched. Like I don't think when I started I saw separation in music. Does that make sense? I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be a hip hop DJ. I was just like, I want to be a DJ. And then I was buying all the records that excited me.
Right.
And they were all different. And my music taste was just evolving constantly. And because of like LimeWire and stuff, I was into everything, man. So it wasn't like I'm going to be a hip hop DJ. It was like, maybe that's what I was listening to when I first got the decks. But then that pretty quickly evolved into like, I remember I was playing like grime, and eventually that evolved into house.
Really? So the scene that I always like when I think of England, I think of these specific, like that's to me the country with the most specific DJs and scenes.
Yeah.
So like there is no open format scene where everyone plays everything. I feel there might be, but I feel like there is like I am strictly like a drum and bass like or deep house DJ, and there's only a specific scene for that. There's no like a DJ that's like that does everything. I mean, that taps into every scene.
There is an open format scene, but it's not the same as
Right.
the open format scene in this country for sure. Like when I started, I was playing in Liverpool, and like 90% of the clubs in Liverpool only play house music. That is just that's how it goes there. But then I started sort of branching out, and I was doing these student nights. And on the student nights, it was like we play a bit of drum and bass, we play like dubstep because that was cool at the time, and then you're playing all genres. And pretty quickly, I started to let the hip hop come back in, and then I actually ended up being a resident in this hip hop club in Liverpool. So I was actually like the hip hop guy in Liverpool for a couple of years as well. So I did it all. And then basically when I started producing, I was like, I know I've got to like commit to something because otherwise I'm not really anything, you know, like I can't be doing this hip hop gig and then making house music. And I knew that I was going to make house music because that's like, I felt like I could do that. You know, it was like, I could see how to do it. It was like, oh, we'd get the 909 drums and then it's like, okay, I get this. So I knew I was going to make house music. So I just had to like quit all the other genres.
But it was also like during the time when EDM was exploding, right? It was like really taking over mainstream.
Yeah.
And then you just started like, especially in Vegas, Lima, we were out here and we were witnessing it in real time.
Yeah.
Like seeing house and EDM come to the main room. I remember I used to do the open format at Tao, and then I was in the main room and house was like in a side room, and then it just started switching.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it's like
right around the time, like Flo Rida and
and
Kid Cudi,
right,
like that,
like Black Eyed Peas into like
LMFAO,
right?
Kind of up tempo. Everything got up tempo.
Was it around that time where you kind of feeling the house music or like wanting to produce house music a little more?
I started producing after that. But I was DJing in that period, yeah. And
who were some of the like producers that you were looking up to, or that the sounds that you were like?
I don't know if you're gonna know these guys, but there was a duo called Amin Edge and Dance, and they used to call it G House, and basically, I mean, this is why it spoke to me because they just had rap acapellas and like really simplistic like 909 drums and Moog synths, and they made this whole genre out of it, and like it was such like a moment in time for me, and I heard it and I was obsessed with it, and I was like, I think I can make this, and that's exactly where I started with music. So whatever year that was.
They had a radio show, or did that?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that specific genre. I remember it was big in LA.
Yeah,
it was just hip hop tracks over like EDM beats and house beats and stuff like that.
Yeah. So like, so you're listening to this and you're wanting to produce. What was like the first programs that you started using and messing with?
Well, I did learn a bit of Logic, but it just never really excited me. And then when I got my hands on Ableton, because I was such a DJ, like I was using Serato. I'm used to looking at like waveforms and all this. When I got my hands on Ableton, it just felt like this makes sense to me, because you can just drag an MP3 into it, and like you can't do that in Logic. It's not that straightforward. So as soon as I was in Ableton, I was like, this is my shit.
And in your production journey, like it's been pretty long, right? You've been putting a lot into your production journey.
I'm definitely not like a natural born talent. I know that much because I've been going for so long.
Well, you always say that in videos, that you feel like you're kind of, I think you had an analogy with a marathon.
Yeah.
And you're just saying that like in the beginning of the marathon, it's crowded. It seems like, you can't stand out from anyone. You're part of the group. As you keep running and running, people start quitting and thinning out. And all of a sudden you're by yourself.
Yeah.
And then, you're starting to be like, oh, this is like really how long can I keep running for? And then you start thinking, well, I can maybe win this.
Yeah.
You're not a better runner than any of those other people who were there at the start. You just never quit. You never even gave yourself the option to quit.
And so, but you really feel like it's all about diligence and like...
Bro, 100%. Yeah. Like I can reflect back on the people who I saw as my competition, like 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago. They were just like, they dropped off. They stopped trying so hard or whatever. And that's not because I'm like better than anyone else. It's literally just like, I just was going harder than anyone else. And I feel like it's the only surefire way to actually get anywhere. Like there's people who've done it without taking that route. And maybe there's people with like incredible natural talent or incredible luck. But I think in terms of a strategy, it's the only one I know.
The first time I ever saw you was on Instagram. And it was just really you being like, you're one of the first EDM DJs that I saw that were doing like something similar to like a Red Bull 3 Bull 3 style, like kind of technical set or routine with EDM and for CDJs. And it was super animated. It was really captivating. And I was like, oh shit, I'm going to follow this motherfucker because he's like doing some real shit. Was that really kind of a turning point for you? Like kind of showcasing your routines and putting, your videos out to be seen how you put things together? Or do you think it was kind of your production kind of building up with everything?
They came hand in hand. So the interesting thing was like, I've been DJing for more than 20 years now. Yeah. And like in this room, that's probably not that long. But
he's trying to say it all feels the same, man. It all feels the same. It all feels the same.
Him on the same age.
But to a lot of people, that's a hell of a long time.
Yeah.
And when I was making this music, I was already like a fairly good DJ. And I made my first successful track in 2017, right? And after I'd made this track, I got to play like festivals and stuff like this.
Yeah, more than friends.
Yeah. And I would get to the festivals and I would DJ the exact same way that I'd been DJing for the past 5 years. And people were like, whoa, what's going on? And I'm like, what do you mean? This is just me DJing? Because they just expected me to be like a music producer who's going to turn up and play his record,
like song to song to song.
Exactly. So the moment for me, when I started doing these festivals, I would put the video out of me playing at the festival, and like I was just doing like a bit of like cutting on the fader and stuff, and people were like, "Whoa, this is insane!" And the videos would go viral, and I was like, "Oh wow, there might be something in this," because I just thought, "Oh, that's just how I DJ."
Yeah.
So it was like the response of the people when they saw me doing it like that. I just lent into it more.
Interesting. Okay.
So wait. So when you're doing, let's say, some of the local parties down in Liverpool, and you were doing that, it was just normal for everyone to see you doing that? Or they were kind of used to you, and they're like, okay.
I guess when it's like a local thing like that, half of them they're not really tuned into what you're doing.
All fucked up trying to get
exactly. It's not like it's Liverpool, man. No, but when you're on the big festival stage, it's like it's set up so that everybody looks at you. You know?
Yeah.
Whereas when you're in like the corner of a nightclub or whatever, it's just and also it's a sort of it's people's perception when you're in the corner of the nightclub in the basement. Everyone's like, oh, he's just a DJ. Whereas when you're on the big stage in front of 20,000, you're not just the DJ. Like you're the artist. So even though you could be doing the same thing, the way that affects people's perception.
I just thought maybe because you're in front of a crowd that's staring at you, maybe you were trying extra, and then that became your thing. You're doing extra in front of like an audience that was, let's say, a group of 20 or let's say 100 kids are like, holy shit, what's he doing? And then now you apply that to a giant stage. Now everyone's like, holy fuck, look at this guy. Right? Was that how you develop your you know, with the cutting and the sampling? Was that your inspiration, or was that something you want to do for yourself? Were you doing it to just...
So... Yeah, I was doing it, like, to tell the honest truth, I was bored of DJing. Like, not because I didn't like it, but I used to DJ 6 nights a week. And that's like 5 hours, 6 nights a week. And half the time you're playing the same records. And so I was like, I kind of got to do something here to not be bored. So I just ended up developing this style where I used loads of acapellas and stuff, like for my own enjoyment, because I didn't want to be a jukebox. And yeah, it evolved from that.
Okay. Were you always on Serato? You were on Serato at this time? Or,
yeah.
Or, so wow. So when you were in 2017, when that hit More Than Friends, like that shit is platinum.
Yeah.
That shit was like huge in the UK.
Yeah.
I think it was like number 8 or something. Like it peaked at number 8 on the charts in UK, which is a big deal. So when that happened, you were doing like festivals and shit on Serato? No.
So
at what point did you shift from Serato?
2016.
2016. Why'd you shift over?
Because I knew I had to be a house DJ.
And that's the optics of it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Interesting. What was the defining point when you were like, I had to get rid of Serato?
I love Serato.
Wait. James, I have to ask you this, okay? If you could use Serato, even now to this day, but fuck the optics of it all. If you could still DJ on Serato, would you?
No.
No?
Do you think you're better on Serato? Or you think you're better on the sticks?
I'm better on CDJs. Yeah. But I love.
But you're doing it for like almost 10 years now.
I used to like load the tracks onto the deck with the fader up and stuff. You know, like with the shift arrow. Oh man, yeah. I really loved it. But then I like the tangibility of having 4 players, you know?
Right. I mean, it's like what you're doing in front of a screen is very different when you're doing it on the CGs. Yeah. It's more animated. Yeah. It's more to look at, definitely. So what was did you see a video? Did you see like a DJ you look up to and you're like, I got to get rid of Serato?
Yeah, every DJ, bro. Tell me one. I was like, I'm trying to be like I'm an Asian Dance. I'm trying to be like Chris Lake. I'm trying to be like Axwell. 1,000 producers who I looked up to.
Right.
Which one of them's using Serato? None of them, bro. So yeah, I just knew that it had to go, and I had to get the CDJs on finance.
How did it change? Like, how long did it take you to do what you did on Serato and to like do it on CDJs? Was there like a development phase?
Yeah, there was like a period where I didn't have any gigs. I was just, and I was actually doing live streams on Facebook in 2016, and that was me. In fact, there's a video, and a lot of people have reshared it saying James Hype's first DJ set. It wasn't my first DJ set because it was 2016.
Yeah.
It was my first set on CDJs without Serato. That's what it was. So yeah, I did have a learning period of like 2-3 months where I was just sort of smashing out mixes just to get familiar with it.
Yeah. Wait. Why weren't you working, or like why did you have this downtime to do this?
Well, so up until the end of 2015, I was a resident DJ. That was my job, and I would play the same gigs every week. And
you're a working DJ. You're a working club DJ, pretty much. Yeah.
But I used to make music all day, every day, and I wasn't making original music. I was making remixes, and I would remix every song. And I used to release one remix every single week on my SoundCloud, on DJ City. And it got to the point where like some big DJs were playing my remixes, like David Guetta was playing my remixes and stuff, which is crazy because I was just a resident DJ, you know. I was just like
That's
a local DJ.
That's big validation, right?
For real.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know this is going somewhere. And I had a few people who wanted to book me, you know, like in different parts of the country. So I'm in Liverpool being the resident DJ, but someone in like Birmingham wants to book me, you know. But I can't do that because I can't not turn up to my residency on a Saturday night. That's not how it works. So I knew that I knew there was going to be this period where I had to not be a resident DJ anymore.
Interesting.
So basically on the new year of 2015, I did like 4 gigs. And then after that, I was like, right, this is it. I'm done. So I was like, get all the money. And then after that point,
so you were like saving, knowing that you were like, oh my god,
because it's like it's like a crazy risk.
And do you speak to, like, you weren't speaking to any of the homies, like does this sound crazy? Like, are you just doing this on your own?
You have no friends,
like, do you
bro.
have
Who
any
told you?
guidance or anything?
No. I had absolutely no guidance.
It looks like a fucking moment.
Lima, what would you say to someone that told you, like, should I do this? You'd be like, I don't know.
I'd be like, do you have a family? Do you have a mortgage?
Fortunately, neither.
Okay. If you've got the fun, I would say it's a leap of faith and you have to take it.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when you're young, you could do it, right?
Yeah.
The younger you are.
Yeah.
That's great.
Sounds like me when I moved to Vegas. I was like, I'm going to go DJ. I don't know where, who, how, but we're going to go over there.
Wow.
Especially if you believe in yourself, I think you got to do it.
So was your way of like accommodating for the residencies to say, I'm going to go on Facebook Live, like to kind of showcase this?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew like once I'd left all these gigs, I just had to be as out there as possible because I had to be in everyone's faces all the time so that people would actually book me.
Yeah.
You know.
And this is like, have you ever had a regular job before?
When I was like 18, I did like retail jobs.
Okay.
But no, I've never had like a serious regular job.
Yeah, like this has kind of been your full time.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, you doubled down, and then what? I guess in 2 years you had a hit song, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So what led up to the change in production, the change in DJing, change of equipment? I mean, that's probably the turning point, right? 2015.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, all the time before that, all the time making music, that was the foundation. But then there has to come a point where you're like, all right, this is it. Let's turn it on.
But that must have been, the first year must have been kind of dark and hard.
It was.
Right?
I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any like promise of money either because I had no manager or nothing like that.
Right.
I was like doing the emails myself, you know, like, so for me it was like, get as many eyeballs on me as I can, make as much music as I can, and just pray that this thing works. And then the bookings did start to come in. But
when did they start? Like how long into it?
I was doing bookings in like April and May of that year.
That's not bad.
But
right?
like I was getting paid like £600, like $750 US, you know? And that might sound like a good fee, but when you haven't done any gigs, you know, like that's not like a good artist fee. That's like this might help me pay the rent this month, you know?
So what was like your kind of driving force to keep you like motivated? Because I speak to a lot of producers and they go through the same frustrating thing, like where, you know, there's points where they do work and then there's a lot of downtime. And then when they're producing, you know, nonstop, there's really nothing, like there's sometimes no acknowledgement of the work you're doing week after week, and you're a one-man team. You're like a one-man company, right? You're doing design, you're doing marketing, promotion, DJing, production, and it's like there's no one ever saying, yo, great job, you know, like here's a raise or anything. It's like you got to keep going. So what was like the motivating thing that just kept you going and didn't make you want to quit or just like say like, I'm not on the right path?
I think for me, the internet has always been really, really helpful because it's, as I say, when I started producing, I put everything straight on SoundCloud, and you're always going to get people saying like, well, you're not always, but you'll always get at least one person like, oh yeah, this is good. People download it, you know, download gate and all that. And then I was putting all my remixes on DJ City. I was getting in the charts on there. So I was getting that validation, and all you need is like one person to believe in you. And that sort of confirms your slight belief that you can do it. You know, I remember when I was like 20, I met Calvin Harris, and he seemed like some sort of mythical creature. And then I met him and I was like, oh shit, he's a normal guy. Like, because I didn't really know any like famous or successful people, you know. But when I met him, I was like, just really like amazed, and it just made me think, if he can do it, I can probably do it.
Wow.
And then like I had that little belief in myself, and then when you get a little bit of belief from some other people, whether that's someone on SoundCloud saying your track's good, or whether that's the likes on your Facebook video or whatever, that kind of just gives you that little bit to keep going. So I always knew that if I just kept chasing it, it would go somewhere.
Yeah. So leading up to More Than Friends, right? Your first big hit. What was like the instant reaction when you dropped that track on SoundCloud? Like, what was the reaction? How did the booking start coming in? Was that really the turning point for you?
Yeah, that totally changed my life.
What led to that song, knowing that was the one? And did you know when you made that you're like, yo, this is the one that's going to hit?
It took me a long time. So I had the idea in 2016 and I made various versions of it, and they were all okay, but they weren't like the one. And then I worked with this guy called Eddie, who was like, he made pop music. And we just had a battle constantly because he was trying to make everything like really happy and pop, and I was like, nah man, come on. Like, we're trying to make club music here. And when we landed on the final version of More Than Friends, I hated it, but after like a day I was like, no, I get it, it's great because we used like a major key, a major chord, because the track's in F minor and we used the F major chord, and it makes it feel really like special in that moment. But also for me, I was like, nah, not cool. So I would say like working with other people in the studio, because in 2016 I moved to London because I was like, oh, I need to be around like the music people. So yeah, I was exposed to people in the studio.
How were you able to afford to live to move to London?
Not very well.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't have any money. I had a girlfriend at the time who was like working, and some months she was paying more than half of the rent, you know? Wow. And I was just there like, yeah, I'll pay you back.
So the first year you were in Liverpool trying to make it work, and then you were like, yo, I got to go to London. I got to be there.
I just knew I had to go to London.
What was the change? What's the, like, just everything's just more, there's more resources in London, or what is it?
It's people. It's all about people, yeah. Like and as well, I've always had this sort of belief that I don't want to be the big fish anywhere. Where if I start feeling like a big fish, I'm like, I'm out. Yeah. Take me to the place where I'm the small fish. Yeah.
Why is that? The comfortability, the complacency?
I think so, yeah, exactly.
Why has that ever like hit you before, where you were just too complacent or comfortable? Like when you were when you had 6 residencies maybe, or no?
I think maybe I'd seen it in other people, you know, like when someone's like, you're looking at some guy and you're like, I don't think I want to be like where you are when in 10 years time. You know what I mean?
I don't want to become you.
Ouch.
But it's an easy trap that we all fall into, isn't it?
Right.
And I'm like, I know if I stay still for too long, I get bored as well, man. Like I'm that guy who, if there's nothing in the schedule, I'll like fill it with stuff because I just need chaos. And I think that's just a part of the chaos. I need to be a bit overwhelmed by my surroundings.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Is that something from your household, or is it was it a competition? Do you have any siblings that you were competing with or anything like that?
Yeah, I've got a brother who's like a year and a half younger than me, so yeah, we're probably quite competitive.
Okay.
Is he a DJ too, or no?
No, he's not. No.
Thank God. So you're performing More Than Friends for the first time at festivals, and at festivals, you're seeing your new style, or like they're seeing the style that they're not accustomed to from an EDM DJ, especially a festival DJ, and you lean into it with your marketing, and you start probably seeing more traction on social media, and that's helping your bookings as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I never, in my head, I was just another DJ, but then people started being like, oh, you're like a technical DJ, and I was like, oh yeah, I am. I'm a technical DJ. So that kind of became another sort of side to me. And that sort of sets me apart from other people, because if you think like 2017, how many DJs made a popular song? You know, I'm no longer just another DJ who made a popular song in 2017. I'm also the technical guy, you know.
Wow. So were you ever getting any like hate or pushback from like the EDM world, like with your style of DJing?
Not on a big scale. I mean, you always get idiots. I mean, you still get people saying that you're not a real DJ because you're not using records, you know. So,
but like, I feel like, I don't know. Is it when you entered like this EDM world and you start doing the festivals, and then 2018 you had a song with Craig David, right? No Drama.
Yep.
That did well as well. It went gold in the UK. You're starting to enter this EDM world. It's like, and you're not many DJs DJ like you.
Yeah.
So you're kind of a disruption. Into like that scene, right?
The interesting thing in the UK,
yeah,
because at this time I was a UK artist, I wasn't actually accepted in this like house music world,
right?
So I used to be on I'd be on a festival on the drum and bass stage. Like I couldn't tell you why, but they were like, yeah, well, you want to book James, but like I don't think he belongs like with the house guys, you know. So. And that was just something I was used to. I would never be on the house music lineup. I'd always be on like a stage with random people, or sometimes drum and bass, sometimes like UKG type music. Even though I was playing house music, so I think there was almost just a rejection of me from like even the industry at that point, you know.
But why? Because of your DJ style, or just you're from the UK?
No. Like these are all UK artists on the on the house stage.
Oh, okay.
The house stage is full of UK artists.
Okay,
but they didn't want me on there. They wanted.
You had a different flow.
Yeah. They wanted to book me, but not on the house stage. You know. So yeah, I was in this weird place at that time. It wasn't really until I broke out of the UK that people were like putting me with house artists.
Really?
Yeah.
So was it initially frustrating, or you're just happy to be there?
I mean, mostly I was happy to be there. Sometimes it was frustrating because, like, you try going on after a drum and bass act with 4 MCs. Like, how do you match that energy? I gave it a shot.
So wait, when you're in this realm and you've got a couple hit songs and you're still not accepted, like, what is like? How do you keep going, and what shifted from then till like Ferrari?
Well, to be honest with you, the period in between that, I was pretty low for me because
really?
I'd made this hit in 2017, and I just couldn't replicate it, and I was trying with everything I had to replicate it because I was signed to a major label, and I was like making all this, so much pressure, and I just wasn't experienced, so I would just totally let it take over me. And I was trying to make music every day. I was like, how am I going to make it as good as More Than Friends? And I never managed to do it. And I carried on going, but I was feeling kind of like helpless.
You were haunted by something. That's
Exactly. And so it wasn't actually until the pandemic that I actually like found myself.
Really?
Yeah, and that was just through the sort of break in everything, you know. All of a sudden I wasn't doing gigs anymore. I had all this time in the studio. I was able to do live streams all the time, and I found my fan base online through the live streams, and I found my sound in the studio as well. So
how did you find your sound in the studio?
How did I find my sound in the studio? I think it was because I was doing so much DJing on my live stream. So I was like, let me make something that I really want to play on my live stream. So the sound was already within me, but because I was creating selfishly, I think, as opposed to let's try and make the record label happy. Let's try and let's try and make something that the radio will play. I think I was creating selfishly, and by doing that, I made records that I'm still proud of now, you know, like the first couple of records that I ever put out that were like my sort of club records.
Right. So it's almost like you've developed a style of DJing, and you finally discovered the production to match it, or like to that aligned with your style of DJing.
I think so, yeah, because I think like you say, I made this hit record in 2017. There's a lot of luck in that. You know,
you think so?
Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, there's always a lot of luck, isn't there?
Yeah.
But the luck.
You don't see it as luck now, do you? Still,
but there's still, yeah. You can
really?
You can still make bad music all the time. It's still lucky if you get a good one. But like in 2017, it's like let's say with the experience I had, my odds of making a hit were probably like 20%. Whereas my odds now are maybe like 70% because I have more experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not that I still sort of had done the work to make the record in 2017, but I just didn't have the know-how to like follow it up, and I didn't know anything.
I just recently listened to this podcast about your creativity and how it's not really about you. It's about allowing the muse to go through you. You have it there, but you have to channel into that. And we get in our own way because we get into this headspace of like, I have to make it better or as good instead of just letting it be. And it was Robert Rodriguez. He was talking about that on Rogan. It's really interesting about how we get in our own way, and you can't. The minute you think it's about you or about you got your own way, you got to let it go. Just keep it flowing, and that's how you made the first one, I believe.
Yeah.
What was the mental block, do you think, that you cracked through in 2020 for yourself?
I think a large part of it came down to me reaching people online. And I was playing to all these people online, and they were like, oh, we really like what you do. And I no longer felt like I had to impress people that I didn't know. You know, like there's always something in the back of your mind like, oh, we've got to make this person like it, this person. And they're not even real people half the time, you know? And all of a sudden I'm playing to these thousands of people online, and they're like, they just like what I do. I'm not trying to impress them. I'm not like trying to do anything. They like me for me.
Right.
And I think once you accept that people can like you for you, it allows you to just be you. And I think we've all got like magic within us. I think we've all got like great music can flow through anyone. It's just like unlocking it.
Do you think early in your career, prior to 2020, you were trying to fit into the industry a little bit? Yeah,
100%. Like I was making music to be like whoever just made like the popular song, and then after that I was making music to try and be like my own popular song, just to try and get the record label to think it was good.
And that was built off of the support that you kind of accumulated online from just being yourself in those live stream DJ sets.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Were you still with the same record label when you came up with the sound?
No.
Oh, okay, so that probably had a lot to do with it.
I did like two records with them, and then I was out of that deal.
Oh, okay. So you kind of free of the shackles of just trying to impress somebody instead of impressing yourself as well.
Yeah.
So ever since 2020, you kind of don't really care about anyone's interpretation of what you do or who you are.
Oh, I wish. Of course I care.
You do? You still do?
Everyone cares, bro.
Really?
I just hope I care less.
Because you seem very confident and like you seem like you're against the system a little bit sometimes.
No, I mean, I can be against the system because the system's not set up to make any of us happy. It's set up to make people money. But also there's so much stuff that just no one tells you. You know, there's no like guidebook for what happens when you make a popular song and shit like that. So obviously I've had experience of all this stuff now, and I'm like, so part of me is like against the system. But yeah, in terms of like not caring what people think, I still care what people think. I just try and be more like self-aware about it. I'm like, and like identify it when it happens, as opposed to then me trying to like change a sound or whatever because of some stupid thing in my imagination.
But like your monikers, right? Your who does this and the real DJing, like it's almost like I'm an anomaly, like against like the whole system. Like I am like, this is like who does this? This is real DJing. I am different from everybody. I mean, kind of shit.
The real DJ.
I think people take it sometimes the wrong way. Obviously, I know you know, right? I know you know. Like the amount of people talking shit, right?
Oh, yeah.
I know you know it, but I think from my perspective, it was kind of like, I don't really need to feed into the industry, and I'm just gonna do what I do. And like, you guys don't like what the fuck I do, I'm gonna keep doing it, and then I'm gonna lean into it more. Is that what it is more?
Yeah, pretty much. Like the real DJing thing, it was always going to trigger people. It was almost like kind of intended to trigger people.
It's for the comments.
But why?
Exactly.
Why is that? Did you get pushback first, or were you just kind? I know you must have gotten pushback first, a little bit. Because I see some of the comments. I've been researching you for a couple days now, and there's a ton of Reddit stuff about like, why does James Hype get all this like backlash, and everyone like, his style is an overkill. It's too flashy. It's like they saying it's too gimmicky, and it's too abrasive. And it's not.
It is gimmicky though, isn't it?
Is
like,
it?
let's be real. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it is. But like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like a lot of the legendary shows, I don't want to name anyone else's show, but all the like the biggest EDM shows, they're all gimmicky. That's what they are.
You're kind of like a wrestler, like WWE. Kind of make it like
exactly, bro.
You're like a heel. you're like the Hulk Hogan of DJ.
But it is WWE, isn't it? Like, let's be real. It is like it's entertainment. It's bigger than just the songs that get played. It's what it means to people.
It's becoming very much
it's
like
showbiz, exactly. But also, like I believe that you've got to stand for something, and I'm like, well, okay, I'll stand for this because that's people know me as being the guy who presses all the buttons and stuff. So I'll be like, okay, well, that's what I stand for. And if you're a boring DJ, then.
Dude, sometimes like I seen a video of you hitting the Q buttons and the CDJ. Sometimes I feel like you press it a little harder. You're like, you know what? Let me get these fucking people angry.
I've actually never done that.
Okay. I'm like, yo, he looks really mad at that one button.
Was there anything that happened in particular that made you want to lean into it, into that kind of those two monikers, Real DJing and Who Does This?
Nothing that comes to mind.
No one talks shit one time, and you're like, you know what?
But
fuck this guy.
Yeah, that doesn't just come out of
this guy
nowhere.
or this girl.
Oh, so I guess there's something that people always comment saying that it's fake. You know, whenever you do anything cool,
you're tired of hearing it. Like,
yeah,
motherfuckers.
People say that it's fake, and like, come on, like how it would actually be harder to learn the choreography for a fake DJ routine. Exactly. That's harder than actually doing it. So I get so sick of people saying that it's fake, and then they say, "Oh, sync." You've got
Yes.
Side note: I've just made my live show is called Sync. So just a bit more trolling there. But like the popular comments are always like, "It's fake. He's using Sync," and like, you're like, come on, you guys are DJs. You know, like you can't just press Sync and then everything sounds great. It's not how it works.
So I had a question for you. So you practice at home. Obviously, you practice your show. How long do you practice for? Let's say, do you do an hour at a time, half an hour at a time, 2 hours at a time? Because I've played at home. Just try different things out. But you're in your studio. I get bored. I get bored by myself.
Yeah, no, DJing on your own.
You'd go like in increments, like an hour, 2 hour. Like when you were first coming up with like some of your the tricks that you do. Were you just hours on end endlessly, or just?
I only practice for specific things.
Okay.
So I don't have like a routine of practicing DJing. It's not something I've ever really
But when
done,
you were building your, let's say, your tactics or some of your arsenal of things you do,
they all come from the real world.
Yeah.
So I'll be on a plane and I'll be getting music ready for a show, and I'll be like, oh, let me try play this with this, and then I'll go to the show that night and I'll do it, and it'll be horrible because I've never tried it before.
Yeah.
And then I'll do it again the next night and it's slightly better, and then after 10 nights it's like, whoa, this is sick. And that's where the good ones come from. So they don't come from like me in the studio trying to. I mean, the best stuff is always going to come from the dance floor. It's not going to come from you trying to think what's going to work, because that's almost like forcing it. And one thing I am conscious of doing with my DJing and conscious of not doing, I don't want to DJ for the sake of DJing. I want to be doing what I'm doing because it gets people excited. I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm doing this because it looks cool on a video. It also needs to be something that translates on the dance floor, and it also needs to be something that sounds good.
It's kind of like an old school approach. It's like how DJs initially did it, how we work ideas in the dance floor, and then it develops into a routine, and then sometimes that routine turns into a song, right? It just develops naturally on its own. So does it help you sometimes to kind of force yourself to do a live stream or to force yourself to practice live, like on camera, just to have like a sense of purpose and to take it a little bit more seriously instead of like no
practice live on camera, but that would be like
just to
pretty cool.
work the ideas out. I was just curious because you have so much content. I'm wondering if like unlike you, I rarely practice with the equipment.
Yeah.
A lot of the music is like organization for me. And then I'll like, I'll plan everything in my head and then I'll put it together like when I DJ. But for you, it seems like you're always working it out.
A lot of what I'm doing as well, like you just said, you practice in your head. I do the same thing. Like
right.
I'll quite often go to a show and do like some sort of techie transition that I've never done before, but I've been in Rekordbox for 10 minutes thinking, okay, I'm going to load this on deck 3, So I kind of run it through in my head.
How do you organize your decks? Like 1, 2, 3, 4. I was like watching you and it seems like the effects or the acapellas are on 1 and 4 and then the music is on 2 and 3. Is that what it is?
It tends to be like that.
Oh yeah.
Like most of the time it's like that.
And you have like obviously you're playing on USBs, right?
Yeah.
And then you have one USB that just syncs to all 4 decks, or are you separating each USB?
I'll put 2 in just in case.
One craps out.
But I tend to play off just one because then you can see what you've played.
So for 1 and 4, you're putting effects in. You're just updating effects and acapellas, and you're just
pretty much. Yeah, I'll sometimes play records on 4. I never end up playing records on 1. Also, the way I DJ now as well, I'm using a DJS 1000, and that is to the left of deck 1. So
the sampler, right?
Yeah, because I use the A9, I use the switch at the top to change between line and digital. So a lot of the time, deck 1's actually out of use.
Really?
I have to choose between deck 1 and the sampler.
You ever thought of just taking the deck 1 out and putting the sampler in? So it's
I
closer?
used to do it like that, but then I missed the 4 decks because there's sometimes where I need 4 decks.
This is an emergency.
No, not even emergency. I used to have some transitions where I used to have some transitions where I used all 4, and I would do this thing where I'd turn to the camera and go like that. I haven't done that for a while.
I love the arrogance. Just know all 4 are on.
But on the sampler, like if you watch him, and I'm thinking like he would do all this kind of like looping and build-ups, and there still be something missing, so you're just hitting snares sometimes to help build it up.
It's also the sampler is so useful for me keeping my rhythm. So quite often I'll have like a big breakdown where I'm planning to do something, let's say on deck 4, like do-do-do, do-do-do. I'll just run a snare on the sampler like in my ear.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Really useful.
Like a metronome.
Yep.
That's
but
crazy.
the crowd can't hear it, just you.
No.
Just on PFL.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's really interesting. So
That's insane.
How you DJ'd in 2020 to like how you DJ now.
Yeah.
Listening to other people, like kind of saying you're an overkill, you're too flashy. Have you tried to pull back on some of the things you do and make it more musical, like some of your technique?
One thing that I did notice like a year ago, the white noise got just on overkill. Because I'll be doing that on every build-up and I'm like, yo, I got to chill with that. Yeah. So I noticed that I had to chill with that because it's like...
Did someone say something?
No, I think I was watching like clips that my media guy had sent me and I was like, bro, I'm doing it on every fucking build-up, man. So try and like just put that to sleep for a little bit.
I know it's like, you've been using different sounds, sirens or like, just like...
Sometimes,
Yeah. So you're just constantly updating the effects and everything on the decks?
Yeah, I mean, it's being an artist in 2025 there's a lot of pressure because everything gets seen. Right. I feel like if you were to interview one of the big EDM artists in like 2018, they'd play the same set for a year. You know, I don't even play the same set for a week. Because I'm like, we need content. The whole set's going to get filmed by someone. Like, so there's new music every single set. There's new transitions every single set.
I was talking with Lima about this, and you're doing festivals. A lot of festivals are live streamed.
Yeah.
So like, how many different versions of Ferrari can you play? And like, are you making like, if a festival is really huge, you're like, this version is complete. Like, this is the EDC version.
Have a Vegas version of Ferrari.
Yeah. I heard that one.
Yeah.
It's very minimal. Like you don't hear the original beat at all.
I always end up dropping both.
Really?
To be honest, I always play the original version of Ferrari. I just have I've made like an extended intro on it, so it just starts from nothing.
Yeah.
Because I I think that record can't be improved.
Good for you.
Thank you. But I stand by that. Like it sounds great on the radio. It sounds great on Spotify, and it still hits in a club.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'd do to that other than ruin it.
When you're doing all these festivals, do you feel like you have to create different edits, different versions? I know you can do different sets, but are you completely changing the edits for certain venues and festivals?
It's not so much festival specific. It's just I'm constantly making new things, and then they get tested that week. And if they don't connect, then they go straight in the trash. And then, so it kind of just depends what week you see me through the summer, what version you're going to get. It's not like, oh, this is specific to Tomorrowland. It's just this is specific to the week of Tomorrowland. You know.
So your EDC set's going to be way different than anything you've done.
Yes.
Damn.
Is there any event or venue or, set that you're kind of like, you're preparing for that's like the biggest set that you have that has the most pressure and you're like, I got to make this shit the best shit ever?
EDC is a big one because it's like there's certain like moments in the dance music calendar where everybody's like, oh, have you seen what he did at EDC? That kind of thing, Mm-hmm. So the EDC set for me is a big one because I've got to make sure that I can show something fresh and exciting,
Do you have something, what do you have planned for this year?
I made a track last night that is probably going to be the intro. And then that's all I got so far.
Oh my! You ain't got like 48 hours, right?
No, I'm playing Sunday. We're good.
Oh, okay.
Was Ibiza like one of the biggest milestones for you? That like your residency at Ibiza?
For sure. Like I've been going to we say Ibiza in the UK as well.
I know,
and I know we're saying it wrong.
No. I say Ibiza because a lot of my boys are gonna fucking talk shit about me.
Oh yeah, because you changed
like,
it up.
Like
you
all
changed.
of a sudden, I'm a worldly ass motherfucker that's saying Ibiza.
And I'm like, okay. Stay. And like, Ibiza, motherfucker.
Who the fuck do you think you are? Just say Ibiza. You ignorant fucking New Yorker. Just say Ibiza. Yeah, Ibiza. So like your
Ibiza. That's the British one.
Ibiza.
And the whole of the rest of the world is like, what are you saying? But yeah, it's crazy for me. I went to Ibiza when I was 17 years old, and I had absolutely no money. I had like $300. And I managed to find like a cheap flight, and I didn't have enough money for a hotel. So me and my friend, we just went, and we were like, I think we can probably sleep on the beach. We'll be fine. So we legit took a flight to Ibiza, slept on the beach, and we went to Space. Now, Space was like the most legendary club in Ibiza, and in 2016, Space closed, and it became High. Mm-hmm. And now I have a residency at High. And like I've actually got goosebumps talking about it.
Yeah.
But like, so it's a crazy like full circle because it's just somewhere it's always been so special to me. And honestly, for a long time, I didn't see myself as part of Ibiza. I saw it as a place that I'd go on vacation.
Right.
But for me, when I was in this kind of drum and bass stage era, it was like I didn't see it as connecting with my world. And so I'm actually just really grateful that those worlds have connected because it's something I'm so passionate about.
Well, like when you have a weekly residency there, right, from June to September, is this the first year that you have a weekly residency there?
So
you're in the main room though, right?
Yeah. So last year I had a residency as well, but it was in the club room of High, and that's like the smaller room,
right?
Whereas this year,
which is already like that's a milestone already.
Yeah,
you were excited about that.
Yeah, for sure.
So that club room? I've never been to Ibiza, and I would how is what is the club room compared to the theater room, right? Which is the main room.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
So the theater is a show. The theater has tons of LED. It has the best lighting. It's a visual experience, and they transform it every single day. Mm-hmm. So if you go there on a Monday and you go there on a Wednesday, it almost doesn't look like the same club. Like in an arena, they strip everything out and then they rebuild it. Yeah. That's what the theater is like in High.
Wow.
And then the club room, they don't even have like LED walls in there. Like it's dark. It's the name tells you exactly what it is. It's literally like for people to just like stand on the spot and dance for 5 hours. So it's High kind of has the best of both, I think.
Wow. So when you were in the club room, you can kind of get really gritty and dirty in that room, right? Which is great.
It's actually, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's actually the only way to play in there, because for the first couple of weeks that I ever played there, I absolutely hated it because I didn't understand it. So it was like 2-3 years ago. It was 3 years ago, and it was the middle of the summer, and I'd been going around Europe playing all these festivals, festival main stage. Everyone's jumping around, hands in the air. And then I get to Ibiza, I'm really excited, get in the club room, and I start playing, and I'm like, what's going on? Why has no one got their hands in the air? Why is no one jumping around? And I was like, I must be doing something wrong. Let me try this, frantically, like trying to find the right record.
I can't picture you being frantic.
I know.
Wow, okay.
So calm, bro.
Maybe I'm exaggerating, but in my head it was frantic. In my head it was like, why is this not working? And I came off the decks and I was like, I don't know, I just didn't enjoy that. And then I did 2 more weeks and I was like, oh, I get it. You're trying too fucking hard. Like the people on the dance floor, they want to go on a journey with you. They don't want you to be like, bow, here's this, bow, here's this. They don't want that. Yeah. And if you give them that, you just look like an idiot because they're not going to react to that. So I'm there giving it loads, like, and they're all like scared, you know? So like, it's the only way to play in that room. Like you have to dive deep into the music. You can't, it's like, you can't just keep it at surface level in there. You've got to go down. And once I actually understood that, I was able to really enjoy it.
So what does that require you to change your style or the music that you're playing more?
Both, actually.
Both. So you kind of pull back on your typical style of DJing.
It's not so much pull back. It's more like use it in a different way. So like, just to clarify, like I've been going to Ibiza every year myself. I'm being on the dance floor for years and years.
That's what I was going to ask you. You never stepped foot in that room before that set and be a consumer for a second. Like, let me see what this feels like on this side.
I never went to high because I don't know. I always end up in different clubs, and it had only been there since 2016. But like I've spent so much time on the dance floor in Ibiza, but somewhere in my mind, I didn't translate that knowledge into playing in Ibiza. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was trying to come to Ibiza with my main stage style.
You were trying to be like bring like a big room, high energy, main stage, and like vibe to like a small dingy like
Pretty
kind
much,
of underground room. Right?
Yeah. So I'll change the way that I play. I'll change the music that I play, and like I do play more progressively. Now that doesn't mean you're not going to get like the old like James Hype moments. You do get those moments, but they're more sparingly used. Like there's going to be like a 3-minute thing building up to like this crazy transition that happens.
More calculated.
Exactly, it's more calculated. Yeah.
What do you mean by you're going to play more, or is like your style's more progressive? What do you mean by that?
Everything takes longer.
You're stretching out your routines a little bit more, making it more musical.
Exactly. Yeah.
It sounds more comfortable. Actually, it sounds like you're more comfortable now.
I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So you think you think that affected your style, like kind of in the main room as well, or no? Like you kind of put it together a little bit more.
I think the main room's somewhere between the two.
Wow. So that was like an important kind of year for you.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, to do that. So like with Ibiza, now when it says you're like kind of sharing a weekly residency with Medusa, are you all like spending together? Or you're like kind of trading off?
Not every week. I think there'll be a few occasions where we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not like...
It's like you're alternating a little bit? Or?
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So there's the headline slots in the theatre. I think it's a 1 till 3 and 3 till 5, and we'll basically alternate.
Where did Ibiza residency or even just the gigs come from? Was that like kind of from the Ferrari, like mega hit and buzz and just like everything blowing up from that? Did that help?
I think what it comes down to is where do you sell tickets? And the people who go to Ibiza, British, Spanish, Italian, they're the three biggest countries in Ibiza. And I've been doing tons of shows in Spain, tons of shows in Italy. I actually had a 5 times platinum record in Italy, which is pretty wild because we did an Italian version of Ferrari with an Italian rapper called Lazza.
Oh wow!
And yeah, it was the most played song in Italy on the radio for the whole year.
Or Ferrari.
Hence
right?
Ferrari. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of stuff in Italy. I think that's where it comes down to for Ibiza. Oh no, and then obviously if you're a fit for the club, sonically as well.
Is that your favorite place to DJ?
It's one of.
What's your favorite, absolute favorite?
I mean, it's either
city?
Ibiza or Space, Miami.
Space, Miami. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But interestingly, what I learned in Ibiza in 2021 is the lesson that I take with me every time I play Space.
I was about to say that. I was in my head. I was going to ask you that. You apply that same knowledge.
100%. If it wasn't for doing that club room in Ibiza for that year where I had no idea what I was doing, I wouldn't be good at playing Space.
You'd probably approach it more like, how would I feel as a consumer in Space right now if I was listening to myself? Right?
Yeah.
What's it? Because Space, your set time's what, like 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. or something crazy like
bit
that?
earlier than that. I normally do like 4 till 12.
4 till 12.
Yeah.
God damn.
It's fucking nuts. It's like, it's interesting. Like it's like DJs always evolve when they're in uncomfortable spaces.
Yeah.
Like what was the last uncomfortable space you were in that you learned the most from? Was it that?
I was actually so prepared for Space that it wasn't uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
But Ibiza taught me what to do. If it wasn't for Ibiza before, I'd have been so unprepared.
Really?
But
they told you what to do at Space, or what do you mean?
No.
He learned.
I learned from playing in Ibiza how to approach Space.
Right. I got that.
But it's so stupid because it's a relearning. I already knew from being on the dance floor so many times.
Right.
I knew I didn't want the DJ to be dropping like banger after banger, So yeah, it's one of those where you think you know everything, and then you get there and you're like, oh no, I didn't know anything.
What happened with Boiler Room? Like, you wanted to spin in Boiler Room, right? Like, you were reaching out to Boiler Room.
I mean, there's not really a story there at all, to be honest.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
Well, I wanted to. I don't think I'll ever get asked to do a Boiler Room. I don't know though. Fucking, they've had some strange characters on it, haven't they? Didn't they have Rebecca Black?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kesha.
Yeah, Kesha.
Yeah.
But so yeah, well, I don't know. I don't really know. But I wanted to do Boiler Room because I thought, I'll bring something fresh to the table, So I thought, that could be really cool to do Boiler Room. And I just got to the point where I accepted I wasn't going to get a Boiler Room.
So Boiler Room since 2010. So like pretty much from your early career till, I don't know. I mean, this happened like last year where you kind of like, you created your own Boiler Room, which is like...
It was longer ago than that.
It really was.
So I got sick of Boiler Room.
So how many times did you reach out and then it was just like nothing?
I mean, I personally reached out a few times, but then I was on my manager as well. I was like, come on, we got to make this happen. He's like, I don't think it's going to happen. So
damn.
What, you didn't get any answer from them, or why?
No.
Nothing?
No.
In your head, what do you think it was? Do you have any idea?
I don't want to say. No, fuck it. I was just going to say, I don't know, maybe just like people thinking they're cool, elitism. I just cancel myself from Boiler Room. Fuck it. No, but it is what it is. I don't really mind.
But you don't think you're the cool entity in EDM? Like not on that level of what Boiler Room deems cool?
Everyone's fucking cool to someone.
Yeah.
It's all relative.
But like in the Boiler Room kind of world.
But Boiler Room is very like I'll rescue myself here, dig myself out of the hole a bit. Boiler Room is very like forward thinking, they're always on the edge of like what's brand new and what's fresh. And I think my sort of breakout moment was with a pop song, so I don't really fit that.
Interesting.
That probably turns people off to me straight away if they're from that sort of really forward thinking like hipster world, and that's fine. Like everyone's got their perspective on what's cool. But yeah, I decided, okay, I have fans. Why don't I do my own Boiler Room? And we put this thing together in London. We got like 500 people in a room.
It was like Get Closer, right?
Get Closer, yeah.
It was like a YouTube series you started.
Yeah. And the first one we did, it's got nearly 13 million views on YouTube. And the funny thing was, if it was a boiler room, it would be like the 4th most popular boiler room of all time.
But do you feel like, I don't know, when I see you, I feel like you're so accustomed to that pushback.
I'm so accustomed to the pushback. Like I'm used to people just thinking, oh no, we don't like
you don't
James.
deserve to be in this
I'm
room.
used to that.
Right? You're
that's
used to
normal
like
for me, bro. I don't know if that's like something everyone experiences or not, but I don't know why I'd experience it any more than anyone else. You know, like I'm sure there's people who experience it more than me, but I'm just like, oh, I'm almost a pessimist. Like most of the time, I'm like, nah, they're not going to do that. We'll do it ourselves.
That's interesting, because that seems to be like your kind of, that seems like your answer or solution to everything. Almost everything is like, they don't want us in that room, we're going to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Is that, and you've just become accustomed to that.
Yeah, totally, man. And I think you can't really go wrong doing that.
Yeah. Is that why like your Ibiza residency is such a shock? It's such a like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like these, like they want me in this room.
They let
right?
me in.
You're right. Yeah.
It's
I've never thought of it like that, but yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Because I saw your Instagram post, and it was very emotional, and it was almost like when I was seeing it, and I see your YouTubes, it's almost like I'm never allowed in any of these rooms, and like no one's ever inviting me, and this is the first time like I'm actually being accepted into the room.
It's really true.
Wow.
It's really true.
And so like what's going on now? Like last year you kind of got a little head to head with Boiler Room. And then, you know, you got head. You're getting head to head with a lot of motherfuckers.
Beef out of nothing.
No, I mean, you kind of got head to head, like with, I don't know, you've been kind of like, you know, a little combative, a little WWE, a little with
exchange.
everything. Yeah. Do you feel like you're at this place where you just don't want to take shit from anybody anymore? A little bit?
What are you referring to?
I'm
Are you referring to
Little mousey situation.
I'm referring to like, you know, Dead Mouse. I mean, I don't know what happened with Dead Mouse previously, but in recent at Ultra, he was talking shit about you.
I think I might have started it. I'm not sure though, but I know that he had this clip from one of his streams that everyone's seen, where he says, oh, if you see someone with visuals sync to the music, it means their set's pre-recorded.
Most major festivals, you have to play a pre-recorded set. Like EDC, I would be surprised if somebody actually played a set that wasn't pre-recorded, to be honest.
And the whole EDM world seemed to believe this. And I had people, I was like posting on my TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a video of me DJing and the screen's got like visuals on it. And there's people in the comments like, no, because he has visuals, it's definitely pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Deadmau5 said. I'm like, fuck off. Like, that's ridiculous.
I mean, I thought that.
Oh,
No, I didn't think your set was pre-recorded, but I assumed with all the pyrotechniques and the lighting at like EDC and shit, I'm like, there's no way like someone's doing that shit live with like words on the screen, and
I mean, there's
synced it up.
There's various ways that it happens.
And I know like big DJs, I know like really huge DJs, like the top 10 DJs, and I know the DJs who crafted their EDC set or their whatever set.
No, that definitely happens. Yeah. I know. Already know who you're talking about.
You know, and I know.
But, and I think there was probably a period as well in like 2018-ish where people were pre-recording a 1 hour set, and that's what played at EDC. But I think it really just, it hurt me, the fact that the world actually believed what he was saying. Because I'm like, I've played Tomorrowland, I've played EDC, I've done all these big stages, and not only have I never pre-recorded my set, no one's asked me to. It's not normal. It's not like something everyone does.
It's not. They're not like see, what I thought was, you know, hey, we'd love to have you at Tomorrowland. Like, if you can submit your pre-recorded set by this time.
That's what I thought. At a point, I thought that was the thing.
I thought that's what it was.
No.
It's like, we need a little like sample, you know, of what you might do.
That would always be at the artist's
We want to
discretion.
coordinate it with the visuals. So if you could send us, you know, this by this time, so we could sync it up. It's not like that at all.
There are shows like that, and
But that's initiated by the artist.
But not EDM shows. There's so I did this show for a radio station in the UK.
Yeah.
And it was like a sort of, they had like 20 artists on the lineup. Everyone gets like 10 minutes type thing. and everybody had to be pre-recorded, and I actually refused to do pre-record, and we had like a huge fight with them.
Wow.
So that does happen, but I've never known that to happen in my whole experience with all these big festivals.
Where they were saying we prefer a pre-recorded set. They've never said that. That's always initiated by the DJ themselves.
Yes, that would always come from the DJ and their team.
Interesting. Did you know that, Lima?
No.
That's cool. You just cleared it up.
It sounds like it comes from the DJ for safe space and safe that.
Well, like I think I was like talking to my DJ friends, and we're like, I mean, I guess it is a lot of fucking pressure to be up on that stage in front of, I don't know,
I've never even thought of that.
Really?
I've never thought about having a pre-recorded set.
Oh, like when we started hearing about the like rumors of pre-recorded set. And then, like, even when people thought you were fake DJing on social media, there were like other entities like Sickic or something like pretending to use like buttons, you know, with the mask, Sickic.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of like, it kind of came around the same pandemic time where the Sickic emerged. So I think everyone was just thinking everyone was fake DJing. There was pre-recorded sets.
Yeah, for sure.
So there was always this thing out there of like, oh, like everything's fake in EDM. It's like wrestling almost.
And that's the reason that I chimed in, because it was actually frustrating to me. I was like, I'm fighting against something that is actually like people's core belief here. People are like, they really believe because of what Deadmau5 said that everything's pre-recorded. Yeah. I'm like, no, fuck this. Like I don't want people to believe this, because I want to tell the truth, and especially when it was something that I had to read every single day in my own comments.
So that's when the real DJing thing emerged, right? Kind of, or it was prior to that.
Probably prior to that, but this was when the Deadmau5 thing started, because I used the video of him.
Oh yeah,
and then
you poked the bear first.
I think I did. Yeah. I was trying to remember it, but yeah, I think I did. But then he started coming back at me, and then I thought it had all died off, and then the ultra thing happened the other week, where he was like doing some like scratching on the deck. He's like, how do I James hype my way out of this one?
Fuck, how do I James hype my way out of this one? Hang on. It's real DJing. I'm just saying.
How did you feel when you saw that? You thought it was funny, or you're like, this fucking guy?
No, I think it's funny, and I think it's good for the scene. Like it's
you do,
Why is it not? Like it's all.
How do you think he thinks of it? I think he's like.
I think he's dead.
I think he's genuinely annoyed with you.
I think
he's taking it serious.
I think sometimes he is, and then other times I think he's joking. I think he's a hard character to read.
Yeah. Have you ever met him before?
No, and I actually tried to. He was playing right after me in Vancouver, and I was like, "Oh, let me like hang around here." And it was like some military operation to get him in the other way, so I didn't have to see him.
Jesus.
Well, you just posted something
this morning.
With Deadmau5 this morning, right?
And
then he replied back.
Yeah. And he's actually texting me as well.
Is he?
He's a unique character for sure.
Okay.
Because I posted about my sync show, and I was like, I basically said Deadmau5 said you have to pre-record your set if you want to sync it to the visuals.
Right.
Here's proof that you don't.
This is my new live show, Sync, and it really is live.
And then he started texting me. He's like, yeah, it's cool what you've done, but it'd be better if you did it like this. And he's sending me like all like coding stuff.
Wow.
I'm like, bro, this is so over my head. But yeah, like he doesn't hate me. I don't hate him. It's just like it's a fun back and forth, isn't it?
Banter, back and forth. But
exactly.
DJ, hit that switch. DJ.
But you said you guys were going to have a boxing match. Is that going to happen?
I didn't say that.
No?
Look,
It's in an actual article that you're going to say, like, let's have a boxing match. And it said he was going to train. And I was laughing. I was like, Deadmau5 is going to train for this shit? That's not happening then.
It's not happening.
Okay. Deadmau5, he's pretty buff. I can see it from here, buddy. Just stay clear from the situation. Go look at his vlogs. He's fucking working out before show.
So wait, he texted you, like, have you texted each other before? Or
yeah.
No? Okay.
I can't remember when I don't even know why I've got his number. I honestly, sorry, I can't remember the backstory. Yeah. But every time like something pops off online, he'll just send me like a random text, and he's
Is it any hateful like "fuck you" or
no?
Okay.
No. I think he.
That's great, man. That's great,
I think he appreciates the fact that it's a two-way thing. I think he's used to like. I think he's used to calling out DJs and everyone just being like, "Fuck you, Dead Mouse." Whereas with me, I'm like, "All right, then, cool, it's on."
Right.
I think it's healthy, man.
I think it's
healthy for people to like not take themselves seriously.
Yeah.
How does this end in your head?
Back-to-back set.
That could be cool. It could be cool to like do something together.
You should do a remix of one of his songs at
That's
EDC.
a good idea. Yeah.
You like play a remix of his song at EDC, and then just James hype the fuck out of it too, right before, right?
With visuals.
Yeah,
By the time this episode comes out, people are gonna be like, "He did it."
And then you should put on a mask with like a dead mouse, like an actual dead mouse with band-aids, like a ripped up ear and like band-aids on the fucking eye and shit.
Stitches.
Like a fat, just troll it like that. I'm curious to see what the ending of all of this is. He's been going at DJs for like the past year or so.
Have?
Yeah, because Hardwell.
No. Oh, me.
Yeah, a little bit. You look
like
come on.
He's like, "Oh, look at
You meant Dead Mouse? Okay, yeah, I'll talk about the Hardwell thing.
The Hardwell, yeah. That was in Romania.
Yeah, it was Romania. So it was
the Saga Festival.
He was playing the same set time as me the day before. And there was like a viral clip of him saying, "This festival didn't pay me any fucking money.
This fucking festival didn't pay me any fucking money to be here tonight, but I'm still here."
I'm like, didn't they? They paid me money. So like, why didn't they pay you money? I don't know, bro.
His equipment crapped out though, right? Like something happened.
Yeah. And he went on a rant
like
on the stage.
5 minutes into his set, the song just shuts off and he throws his headphones, walks off stage, they chant his name, he comes out with the mic and he's just saying like, fuck this festival, the equipment shit, everything's shit.
Wow.
I came here, they didn't pay me, blah, 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 blah. And it's like literally like maybe 1 minute and a half rant.
Yeah.
And then
I sampled it the next night.
This fucking festival didn't pay me any fucking money to be here tonight, but I'm still here.
It's entertainment, man. Just be fucking.
James treats this shit like WWE.
I don't know anything about Hardwell. I used to play his tunes like fucking 15 years ago. I got respect for him. I just thought it was fun.
But nothing came back. He never came back.
No. He never. Do you know what though? His fan base though, they'll be coming back forever.
Yeah.
I'll like randomly post a DJ video today, and I'll still get a comment saying Hardwell is better. Like, damn.
Yeah, wow. Literally the next night he's doing a song and he just plays that exactly. He just plays like the rant in the build up.
Why not?
What triggered you to do that? It was just so ridiculous. To you?
I mean, everyone in dance music was talking about it.
Were you watching it live when that happened? Were you at some point? Whenever you were on the stage?
No, I was somewhere else. So it's a festival. He played like the Friday night,
and somebody hit you up. Did
you
see what happened?
Right now? Yeah, it was all over.
It was
the
like
internet.
everyone has video of it. It was like it's crazy. I
saw the ramp. I was just wondering, maybe you like in the same city, and someone's like, "Dude, turn on channel 12," and you're like,
or standing on the side of the stage. I'm like, "Oh, we should use that tomorrow."
Exactly.
You know what? Like last year, in the past 2 years, there's just been a lot of weird shit happening with some of the EDM DJ sets. Like I think Zed had something fucked up happen with his set, and then it's like all these things happening with his set. And then from our perspective, we were like, is it because of the Pioneer 3000s? Because we were like,
you're like, get back on Serato.
But like on DJ Twitter, they're like, that's the fucking Pioneer 3000s, bro. Is that why you don't use the 3000s?
I don't use 3000s because it's interesting because I got sent them way before they came out, and I was using them at home for ages. I don't know. I was like the 3000 guy. And then when I got to like big stages after the pandemic, I don't know if it's something to do with the way that they're linked or something, but they don't work properly. And I had so many...
The response?
It's like you can have quantize switched on and you'll do something like beat jump or hit a hot cue, and the CDJ will shit itself and take like 100 milliseconds to respond, and you've completely lost your like quantized place.
Gotcha.
So if you've got two faders up and that happens, then all of a sudden you've gone from like being in the mix to like totally clanging.
Yeah.
And the way I DJ, I'm like beat jump, hot cue. Like that's how I play. So if they're going to go out of sync when they're both quantized, I can't use them. And it kept happening. And I'd be on a big festival stage in the mix, little beat jump. Oh my God, the whole thing's clanging. And I just had to say, like, there was nothing wrong with the...
Too risky.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with the 2000s. I'm going back.
Really? So wait, so you've been using the 2000s. I've seen you just only use the 2000s.
Yeah.
And then do you think like that's what's happening with all these other DJs?
No,
it's crapping out.
I don't know what's going on. Majority of people are using the 3000.
Because you handle all. Another thing that was going around was that they're not handling their USBs, like their assistants, like loading up their USBs. I think something happened with another DJ where, like, I guess her BPMs were like
Grimes.
the Grimes thing.
Yeah, where her BPMs were like miscoded. You know, instead of saying 70 BPMs, they were like 140, right? Or instead of saying 140, they were 70.
Yeah.
So when it was in sync in the Pioneer CDJs, it was reading it as 70 instead of 140.
It's still the DJ's responsibility, isn't it, to make sure that your fucking beat grids are right.
That's true, my friend.
Real DJing, you know?
Real DJing,
Real DJing for real. I saw that you're starting to produce drum and bass.
I've tried.
Yeah. It was interesting because it was the first time I saw the comments of like, bro, this is horrible. Or like, Jesus Christ.
Drum and bass. Where do we begin?
No one told you that was gonna be this way. No one told you that was gonna be this way. I'll be there for you.
Just give this up.
But like, and then I was reading comments that were like, drum and bass is actually one of the hardest genres to produce for. And whatnot. And I was kind of seeing like what your take was it on
my take is
because it's something that's new, right?
What, drum and bass?
No,
or me doing drum and bass.
You're starting to produce it, right?
I mean, I just wanted to. I was interested to give something a try that because it's like we all just get stuck in a routine of doing what we're good at every day, and I was like, let me try something I'm not good at.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see how difficult it was. And I feel like if I like spent a few months doing it, I could be all right at it, because it's not that different to like house music when you're used to like dealing with frequencies and sounds and stuff.
Right,
they're not that different. Like obviously the tempo is different, and there's some like just like things that won't be exactly the same. But I was more excited to try something new and share my process of trying something new with the world. That's why that's why I wanted to do it. I wanted to show you like I'm James Hype. I'm the guy who made the songs with the billions of streams, and I'm about to try and make like a totally different genre. And I want you to see that I'm doing it because I want you to see that I'm not fucking great.
Mm-hmm. No, but I know it sounded pretty good for me. You had like 8 different tracks that you made in like a time span. You showed all 8 tracks.
Basically I did a Twitch stream.
Yeah,
I was like, because I'm always thinking about content. I was like, how do we get twice the amount of content out of this? Oh yeah, Twitch stream and Instagram.
So you decide what percentage of your set does it ever steer to like
what drum and bass?
Yeah, does it go to?
Recently I've been playing about 3 tracks.
3 tracks.
Yeah, that's it.
And do you end it off with drum and bass, or how do you?
No. So I would never want to, like, this is going to sound so stupid. I would never want to listen to a drum and bass set because I just think it's too much.
Like you think it's too much, really?
Like they're relentless, and I love the ups and downs of a house set, and I love that we can have a 3-minute breakdown, and drum and bass doesn't have that. Listen to the tracks, they have like 15 seconds where the kick drum stops and then it's back again. And so the whole thing of drum and bass, it doesn't speak to me the same way that house music speaks to me. However, if you're playing a house music set and you drop a drum and bass track, it's amazing.
Right.
But I'm not trying to play drum and bass. I'm trying to drop one track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things that I'm playing where it's just like, this is a really fun moment. And then I've figured out ways to like transition back out of it, because that's the hard part. Because once you're there, it's like, how are you going to get
commitment?
Yeah.
Man. That's a commitment, man.
I thought it was great that he put it all out there. But I you know, there was mixed. I'm not saying everyone thought they were speaking negatively in the comments.
Yeah.
It was a back and forth.
But I kind of wanted that.
Yeah,
I didn't want it to be like, oh my God, you're amazing. You can do drum and bass too. I actually wanted it to be like, listen, like this might sound like what some of you guys are making at home. Like, I want you to see that I'm just like a regular guy like you.
No, listen, it's honorable that at this point you don't really give a fuck. Like, just put it out. No, you don't. You should put it out there and be like, what? Now what?
Yeah.
Is that how you feel nowadays? Kind of.
Sometimes, yeah.
I mean, don't we all? At some point in life, you're like, dude, you don't just be you.
Yeah. It's a great place to be until it isn't, right? Kind of. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know.
So let's talk about your new single, which is like, it's doing well. It's like it was number one on Beatport.
Yep.
Right. How you like what led up to this new single, and where are you going with it?
I was in the studio working with like my favorite people to work with. So I've got like the same guys that I wrote the song Ferrari with. Whenever we work together, it's just like super chill. Like we're not trying to prove to anyone how good we are or anything like that. It's really nice once you've got into a rhythm of working with people, because all the ego goes out the door, and that's when you like unlock the magic. And yeah, we were just playing around with some chords, and we came up with Don't Wake Me Up, and I was changing up the arrangement for about 6 months, and then it was finished.
So you start with the beat and then?
No, on this one we just started with chords in the song, and then I made the beat after.
And then the vocals and the writing comes after, or what is that? How does that?
So we wrote the chords, and then we wrote the song, and then it was produced after that.
Oh wow! So you guys are like creating the melodies for the vocals and the lyrics and everything.
Yeah.
Wow. And how long is that process to put that together?
We probably spent 2 hours writing the song.
And how many? 2 hours writing that song.
Yeah.
And so like I'm assuming there's probably like you guys created like what 12 songs or 6 songs, and that was the one that stood out.
Well, on that day.
Yeah.
On that day, I think we did 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how long is this production or writing process for you when you decide to go in the lab with this team? It's limited time schedule.
We'd probably be there like 6 or 7 hours maybe.
Oh, so it's only like a day thing. You guys know you have to churn something out in that one day.
Most of the time it is, just because of my touring.
Wow.
I took the whole of February in the studio this year.
Yeah.
Which was quite cool. But also like I think I work really well when it's really like mixed, you know, when it's if it's like, oh, now you're going to go to the studio and do nothing else, I almost lack the inspiration that the club world gives me. And then if it's like, oh, now you're just going to do DJ gigs and nothing else, then I lack the time to create properly. So I think for me, it works really well when it's like 50-50.
Wow. So you guys meet up, you make the song, and you probably create what, like 60 to 70% of the song right then and there, right? Or less?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
And then over the next few weeks, you're just kind of tinkering it, building it, layering it.
Pretty much,
it into what it is.
Pretty much. Like after the end of the session, we had the song, we had the lead synth, like the dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Dun, dun. And then for me, it's arranging it, like working out the structure of it, what comes where, and then little things like mix and stuff. But I think like the skeleton of it is done after that day.
So what is the time span between like mastering to like conception to mastering? What is that time frame?
We wrote it in April. And it came out in March.
Wow,
almost a year.
Yeah.
Wow, that long.
Yeah.
What's the longest process in that?
Okay, so when I wrote it, I probably sent a demo to my manager maybe 4 weeks after we wrote it, and then I tend to get a bit overwhelmed when I think something's really good, and I thought it was really good, so I was like, okay, I don't want to like tackle this production until I'm really, really ready. So I actually made a point with this song of not listening to the demo because I didn't want to get attached to the demo at all because I knew that it needed work, but I didn't want to have heard it so many times that when I went into the studio, I couldn't hear past the demo.
Right. It becomes numb, right? Like
totally, man. Yeah. Like I wanted to hear it like a fresh listener when I got back in. So I waited until I had like 2 or 3 days in London where I could really like lock into the studio to get stuck into it. And then I would have made a version 2 then. I would have sent that to my manager, like spoken about like how we can improve it. And then I would probably just make a new version like every couple of weeks after that point.
Until you felt it was right, the right one.
And then I think it was ready like before Christmas, but then whenever you do anything with a major label, it's really, really slow. And they're like, oh, well,
especially around Christmas.
Well, we can't. Yeah, they take like 4 weeks off for Christmas, and then it's like, well, we can't release over Christmas because Mariah Carey, and then we can't release in January because everyone's on vacation, and that's what it's like working with major labels.
So as you're like developing the song, are you playing the different versions out or no?
At a certain point, I start playing it out. I think I was playing it out in like October.
And it was sounding really good, or like you were like, I gotta fix this, I gotta fix that.
I mean, when it's a song like this that I believe is huge, I get super critical, and I'm not like to the point where it's like the frequencies of the bass and the kick drum and stuff.
Right.
I want this to be like as good as it can possibly be. So yeah, there'll be little tweaks every day. Like if I look on my laptop, there's probably 40 or 50 versions of the record before the final one.
Interesting.
And I'm pretty sure we had the final one in November.
Are you too hands-on with everything?
Yeah.
You're too hands-on?
Yeah, 100%.
Because I talk to a lot of other EDM DJs or people in the EDM world. They're not as hands-on as you are.
Like I
like there's a lot of producers, like there's a lot of people working on shit.
I don't have anyone who works on my music.
Yeah, like
and I know that I could be probably more effective if I did have someone.
I'm saying like maybe your managers are like, hey James, you want to like delegate some of this shit out or no?
Yeah,
they never tell you.
Well, yeah, if they could find the fucking right person. Like the problem is I'm so like, because I know what I'm doing, I can't trust anyone else because I'm like they'll give me someone and I'll be like, nah, his sound is too like digital. It doesn't sound like the UK. And I'm so like I literally have someone in mind who my manager was like, why can't you get him to do it? I'm like, no, it doesn't sound like me. Like I'm so like in tune with what I'm doing that it's actually a problem. Like it would be easier if I'd just like had an engineer from the start. You know?
But is your approach to like people remixing your shit? It's way more open. You're way more open about that.
Oh yeah, if it's a remix, yeah, like that's their
cool.
That's like their work. That's their take on my work. Right. You know?
Well, was this the same process with Ferrari? Kind of.
Ferrari took 3 years to come out.
Really?
Yeah.
So what was? Why 3 years? So that dropped in what 2022?
Yes.
And so you were working on that since before the pandemic.
Yes, it was written in 2019.
With the same team?
Yes. Okay, so in 2019, me and the guys got together. Okay, actually, in 2019, I was in my studio late at night.
Yeah, and this is the dark time. There's a little bit of a dark time.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Playing with samples. I have like a Spotify playlist of songs that I want to sample. And I Need a Girl Part 2 was in there. And I made the beat. And I thought it was pretty cool. It was a really simple beat. It's just like sample 909 drums, really simplistic. I was making loads of different things, so I didn't really think anything of it. I thought it was cool. I played it the next day with the guys in the studio, and they were all like, yo, this is crazy. I was like, oh, here it is. I knew that. And then we wrote the song Ferrari in about 30 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, recorded it. I thought it was amazing.
Who laid the vocals down?
A guy called Miggy. And yeah, he's a really cool guy, lives in London, and he was just like, he wasn't a superstar or anything. He was just like one of my friends who he'd brought along to the session. And yeah, we got it all recorded that day, and then I made a version, sent it to my manager. My manager was like, yeah, cool, we'll send it to the record label. The record label were like, yeah, we like this, we want to put a rapper on it. And they had all these ideas of putting a rapper on the song. So it would go like, you still make my heart beat fast, Ferrari. And then when it drops with the guitar, that's when the rapper would come in. And they got me like 2 different UK rappers to do it. You probably know Tiny Temper. They got him to do it, and then they got
Skepta or something.
I wish they got Skepta. That'd be well cool, wouldn't it? Tion Wayne.
Okay.
So they got those 2 guys to record it, and I was playing around with like the versions that they'd done, and it was like no one was really like super excited about it. Like the rap verses were good, but they were like, this isn't the song. We haven't cracked it yet. And then they actually got Sway Lee to record it.
Wow.
But it was like just totally not the right thing at all. Like he sounded sick, but it was so like mellow, you know. It was like he just got really high and he was like, yeah.
It was around the time he did the Guatemala song. Or
Yeah, I think
song.
it was. Yeah. And it was great, but it wasn't what the track needed.
Right.
So
It was a little too emo.
yeah,
right?
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing just lived in this world of never coming out. And then when it was the pandemic, I started playing it on YouTube, like on live streams.
Oh, wow.
But the version I was playing, it was like my VIP remix. Because obviously the version that the record label wanted had rappers on it and all this.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to make a version that I can play in my own sets. I'm not going to play a rap version. I need like a hard version with like a long build up and stuff like that. And so it was like Ferrari VIP mix. That's what I started playing it on YouTube and in all my sets. And every time I played it, it used to go viral, and people were re-uploading clips of me playing it. And there was like loads of these Ferrari, like James Hype Ferrari videos on YouTube that people had like ripped from my sets. And one day I got a phone call from a radio DJ who's a good friend of mine. He told me like, oh, you need to hear this. Someone's copied your song Ferrari. And he'd been sent a promo from a major label with an artist who'd basically done a rip-off of Ferrari.
Wow.
And me and my manager were like, shit, what are we going to do? Like, we've been sitting on this record for fucking 2 years. And we decided to release my club remix of it the next day. So the version of Ferrari that you know is my VIP remix of it, which I just made for my own DJ sets. And when we released it, there was no promo plan. There was no nothing. We got it on Spotify in 2 days because we had to beat the fake version coming out.
Wow. So it was just out of haste.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
And the vocals were what, Miggy?
Yeah. The original vocals, yeah.
Interesting. So, and that's the story of it. It's just out. That's how it came out.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the fake version got cancelled.
Interesting.
Because the real version
That
came
could just
out first.
happen like that? Like,
fuck no. Well, the thing is, right, because I'd sampled I Need a Girl Part 2, anyone can sample another record.
Right.
So they hadn't copied the lyric Ferrari, but they'd pretty much copied everything else around it.
Right.
Yeah. So they hadn't taken my IP, they'd just taken the IP of that record, and then they could get that cleared just as easily as I could.
So the record took off first in the UK?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it was more like Europe first.
Europe first.
Netherlands. And
when did you know it was like, this is going to be a fucking hit record? This is the one.
I always thought it was the one.
Yeah.
I've never believed in anything as much as I did Ferrari, but obviously there was so much other people not believing in it that I probably got to a point where I was just like, whatever.
Why, you sat on it for 3 years?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
You have the patience for that?
No, I have no patience.
I
just log out and move on, you know. I'm just like, all right, let me just make something else.
You're just so busy.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, I knew it was big, but it really took off like around Europe, even more so than in the UK.
Wow. It was the biggest song of the summer. I remember that. We were playing it in every sets, open formats and everything.
That's sick.
Yeah. And it was actually really great because I think open format DJs were really big fans of you, have always been really big fans of you. Just because like in the EDM world, there's all this misconception of DJing. And we felt like, oh shit, this motherfucker's DJing kind of like an open format DJ.
Yeah.
And you know, when you had a song, we're like, yo, good for him. Like he had a hit song now, you know, like we were just kind of proud of you and shit like that.
I love that.
Yeah, you know. But so I don't want to. I really appreciate you being here. I don't want to keep you here too long. But what do you have? What do you have planned for the rest of the year besides this boxing match with Dead Mouse later?
The biggest thing for me right now is the Sync show, and
Sync show.
It's wild. It's a lot to take.
So
on.
what is this? Like, this is a tour of yours, kind of?
So it's not a tour right now. We just got a couple of dates that have been announced, but essentially we've built like a live show. So it's not just James and some decks anymore. It's like this is
like an experience.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Because now every button you push is triggering some type of light and effect.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So it's just like an amplification of the real DJing thing, pretty much.
Right.
And like I want the person 10 rows back to be able to see what I'm doing on the decks, but the cue button's only that big.
Right.
So we need to find a way to make that
And
big.
you just don't want a camera overhead just watching your fingers on the fucking decks. And
But
doing
that's not that
shit.
exciting.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you're like on a night out and you're on the dance floor. You're not like, oh, what's he doing on deck 1 now? But if it's a big flash, it's like I was saying before. I don't want to make this too technical for the consumer. I think there's some incredible DJs in the world who are too technical for the consumer. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be too technical for the consumer. I want to get down, but I want people to actually enjoy experiencing it. So I don't want it to have to be like, wow, watch the waveform right now. Let's see what he's doing. Like, only the nerds enjoy that. I'm a nerd, but like, I want 5,000 people on the dance floor to be like, whoa, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want it to just be for the nerds.
So this Sync show, where is it? Like, exactly? Is it like, I thought it was a tour or an experience that you were going to tour around.
So right now we're doing Brooklyn Mirage on July 5th.
Oh, crazy.
And
if it's finished, hopefully.
Don't say that. It will be finished. It's really tough because I'm supposed to be selling tickets for it right now. And I'm just like, I can't post about this now, can I? You know? Because everyone's going to be like, oh, it's not open yet.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think they just finished the ceiling last week.
Oh my God. They better fucking open those doors, man. And then we're doing Sync every Monday at High Ibiza.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Which is crazy. And then we're announcing a London show soon as well. So it's like we're just doing select places. It's not going to be every single set is Sync because the equipment required to do this is crazy. Like we did a rehearsal in London the other day. It cost me 40,000. Like it's just such a huge undertaking. I just had no idea like what I was getting into. But hopefully when the people see it, it'll be worth it.
Wow. So we really scheduled this interview at the right time because after this week, it's balls to the wall. It's going to be like
it's getting to that time of year now.
Yeah. Literally from June to September. Wow. It's you know what? I have one last question to ask you. I know you have to go, but I noticed that you really kind of implement a lot of health and gym and running and shit.
Yeah.
Has that always been a part of your life, or it was something that happened more recently?
Well, when I was 15,
I
had really bad spots. And
what does that mean?
You know, like acne.
Oh, acne.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Had really bad acne. Do American people not say spots? No,
No, we say acne.
No.
Is that a British thing?
I just learned that.
Temples.
Wow. I just learned something new. I had really bad acne when I was 15, right? And I was like, I want girls to like me. So I started going to the gym. I was like, yeah, let me get hench. Do American people say hench?
No.
Oh my God.
We say buff.
What do we say? Buff. Yeah, let me get buff, right? And like it didn't work. Girls don't really care about that shit, right? But I found something that I really liked doing. I found like an escape and like almost like a meditation, and it's like you put the hard work in and you feel good for it the next day, and I really enjoyed that. And then when I started touring really crazy, I kind of stopped making time for the gym so much, and
It's so hard, right?
bro, it's so hard.
It's like I struggle with it. Like I'm always really like I admire like Lima. He has like this routine, like a morning routine, a daily routine.
Yeah.
And I travel so much out. Like when I'm in town and home, I'll get back into my routine, and right when I'm back, I gotta leave. And then so I'm really like impressed with the routine you've created, even on your travels, and how it got started. You know?
Well, yeah, like I stopped like taking so much. I stopped making it a priority a couple of years ago, and then I was like, I was going through like a tough time mentally. Because touring can be hard. It's
was that like 22 around that time?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was just too busy.
When
right?
I first started touring the US, because a lot of it I was doing on my own.
Yeah,
and there was so much uncertainty, and I think that's what I couldn't handle, because I was living out of a carry-on suitcase. I was like, I don't even know where I'm going. I don't know when I'm next going home, and I think the uncertainty actually like overwhelmed me. But through that period, I found that like working out was a way to sort of take my mind off the craziness and give myself a bit of certainty. And that's when I really got back into it, and I just started going for it. Started training properly. I got a personal trainer when I'm home in London, so he teaches me how to do things the right way.
Right.
Because I was just winging it before that. And like I just feel like when I put it in as a part of my day, and it's like a must do. Like this morning, I got up at 6:30 and I was running, and I'll just make sure it's not a routine, because you can't have a routine when you're touring, because if I had a routine and the flight was delayed by 2 hours, I'd be pissed off. But I don't have a routine, because you can't rely on things like that.
Right.
But I have a must do,
It's like a non-negotiable.
There you go. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I'll have to do something today that's going to make me feel good. And that might be run, that might be like lifting weights, but I have to make sure that gets done. Otherwise I know that I'm not going to be at my best, like in any other way.
And then your body is already kind of like, when you don't have it, your body yearns for it anyway. So it's like an automatic thing that you know that your body wants, and you have to do for it.
Yeah, but it's hard, man, because sometimes you can do like a 5-hour flight across the country, and you land and you just want to sit on the bed and scroll on your phone. But you never thank yourself for sitting on the bed and scrolling on the phone, but you probably will thank yourself for getting a workout in.
That's why you always mention, like, I think maybe it was the Harvard thing. You said, like, if we could survive like 2022,
Tomorrowland 2022.
Yeah, I think you were saying something like it's never as bad as Tomorrowland 2022.
What happened then?
Okay, so me and the touring crew, we have a saying, like it's not as bad as Tomorrowland 2022. So like, let's say
that was the worst show.
It wasn't that the show was bad. It was just the actual touring experience. It was wild. So let's say like
you're winging it.
Yeah, let's say we have to get up at 3 a.m. to go to the airport to whatever. Like when you got to do like some really tough touring stuff, we'll say but it's not Tomorrowland 2022 because Tomorrowland 2022, we were on a Greek island playing a show from 4 till 6 a.m. Then we had to take a 7 a.m. flight to Belgium to Tomorrowland, and then played at Tomorrowland at like 2 p.m. Went straight back to the airport. Had to take 2 flights to another part of Spain. Landed in Spain, had to do a 2-hour drive to a festival, played the festival 4 till 6 a.m. and then a 2-hour drive back to the hotel before we got to go to bed. So
and you're just enjoying the success, but you don't know how to pull back, right? You just,
oh man,
that was like, that wasn't enjoyable. Like it was enjoyable when it was over.
But it was also like you had this hit song, right?
You had
Ferrari.
Yeah.
That was the transitional period where like you're not really making a lot of money,
right?
But everyone wants a piece of you,
right?
And then the money like filters through after that, and then you're like, oh, cool. Now we can afford to like get the nice hotel. Now we can afford the better flight. Now maybe even a private jet. Whereas before it's like, no, you're on like the cheapest of the cheap, and you're doing as many shows as you can,
and you're maxing out your credit card, just trying to get by. Right?
Yeah.
That's fucking. So when do you start reaping the benefits financially from a hit record like that? Like 6 months?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because the first money that you'll see is in the bookings, because the money from the actual music, that it's not even that much anyway, but it takes quite a long time to come through.
Oh man. So that's the phrase. It's never as bad as Tomorrowland 2022.
We should have one like that, quickly.
Well, let's see. Hopefully this year goes well, and he's not fucking mentioning like, it's never like 2025.
It's not like that R.O.A.D podcast episode 2025.
I still compare everything to the lockdowns. Like,
2020.
Yeah, the uncertainty of. I mean, there's a lot of great things that we felt when we were locked up, but there's also a lot of uncertainty. I was like, man. If we made it through the pandemic, we could make it through this.
Yeah. How long were you not DJing for?
Actually, I was one of the only DJs working during the pandemic.
How?
I was working marquee day and night.
And
on Saturdays.
They managed to like keep.
Yeah. Oh,
keep
so
it
okay.
with
So they would.
restrictions.
So people would come into the club, say for the Marquee Day Club, but they couldn't dance. And we separated the cabanas, so and you had to order food. So
Yeah.
I'm playing music and I'm smelling like buffalo wings and nachos.
Right.
Yeah, and I was just trying to. Hey, I'm working.
Yeah.
At night, same thing. I was like, I'm supporting my family. And
That was like 3 months after lockdown, right?
yeah, 3 months after lockdown.
Like June.
Yeah.
Because Vegas opened up.
I was wearing a mask on stage. It was,
What was the term? It was like semi-opened or like
they called it a lounge, like Marquee Lounge.
yeah, Marquee Lounge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like everyone like it was like every other table you could book.
Yeah.
You couldn't even be next to each other.
And you couldn't dance. And you could take off your mask only to eat and then put it back. It was
Yeah, you had to like move your mask and eat and put it back.
and for a DJ it's depressing.
it was fucking hard.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
It was really hard.
to do that. You get someone standing up with like, you're like, okay, like that kind of gave me a little something.
I was, you know what's funny, man? I was playing his Rose's.
St. John.
That
St.
was like a
John.
banger. Like, okay, let's go. I was like, that's when I took it to the next level. But I had to open up for myself and then close for myself. So imagine that like a 6-hour set.
Yeah.
And no one could dance. Like, oh my god.
Dude, what's the longest set you do, James?
Sometimes it's in space. I'll do like 8 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
But you have to like, do you have to equip yourself to like get ready for something like that? Or
What
like,
do you mean, like physically?
I mean, like, like I
Mentally,
feel like if
musically.
you're conditioned, most DJs, if they're conditioned to do an hour, 2-hour set, for them to approach an 8-hour
Oh
set.
yeah, no, totally. Like most
It's
of my sets are 90 minutes. That's my average.
Right.
That's my average set.
But maybe streaming during the pandemic helped because you had to stream for like 6 hours, or I don't know.
I never really did that. It was always 2 hours, 2 hours 30.
But then, so 8 hours is just it's like you just kind of jumped from like 92-hour minute sets to like 8 hours, and
it wasn't
to it.
easy. It just
No?
you just got to put a lot of stuff in a playlist because you don't. The thing is, when you're preparing for something that long, you actually don't really know where your head's going to be at. So you might play for 3 hours, and you're like, shit, I'm like totally like lost as to what to play. So you just need to be really fucking prepared. Like you need a lot of stuff in a playlist for all eventualities, really.
So the first time you did it, were you completely mentally exhausted and drained?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really, really exhausted. And the most recent time I did it, I actually came off stage thinking like I could have played for longer. But I remember the first time I did it, I was like, yo, yeah, really drained.
Did you like, I'm going to be more ready next time kind of shit? Or it was just like...
I didn't have any regrets. I wasn't like, I didn't regret not being ready enough. It was just the physical, mental toll. But it's, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It was just, I was exhausted.
A long set, once I walk away from it, I'm like, okay, I have to make like a dreamy playlist, a progressive playlist, a dark techno. Like you have to like make playlists so you could think of what you were thinking while you were DJing. You know when you're lost and you're like, what am I going to play next? I make a mental note. Okay, next time that's not going to happen. I'm going to make playlists to fill these moments because you know there's
cool, Do you ever export your history and use that as a playlist?
Never.
No.
But I do go through my history.
Yeah.
I do go through my history and I have old flash drives that are like 10 years old.
Yeah.
And I go back to see what I was playing back then. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you kind of like export your history and like, do you use that?
I've only done it a few times, but there's been a few times where I've like totally winged something and I've been like, oh, that worked out really well. Let me like look at that playlist. Yeah.
But you don't organize your sets like as in like, oh, this is what I played last time I was in, Hungary or Brazil.
No. It's not that. It's not that like regimented.
How different is it when you approach a set in the US and in other countries?
It's not as different as you'd think.
Really?
I think when I first started playing globally, I probably made it into more of a thing than it needed to be. We all live on the internet. People hear the same music on the internet. And as far as like when it comes to like EDM, the sounds are what move people a lot of the time. Like if it's a vocal, then people probably know it like off TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to like the sounds, it's like if you've created a sound that will move people in the US or in Hungary, you know, because we're all one, we're all human, we all respond the same way to different things. Now, one thing I do try and do is I try and take a little piece of like local culture when I'll go to new places. So if I'm doing a big show in like Argentina, for example, both of the past 2 times I've been to Argentina, I've like just got an a cappella from a local rapper and I'll put it into my set. Like I'll either make a remix in a hotel room or I'll just like drop the a cappella on top of a track that I'm already playing. But that's like a nice little thing to sort of nod to the culture of the place I'm going to. You know what's actually funny about that though? I've actually had backlash for doing that.
Really?
Yeah, because people are like, we don't like that music. We like James Hype. That's why we come to see you. And I'm like,
they don't see it as an homage, right?
I get it, but like, that's what James Hype is. Like, I'll take from everywhere. That's what I do. I've always done that. So I get what you're saying, but like, that's literally who I am.
Right. But you're literally paying homage to their culture and their country. Yeah. That's interesting. Well, look, we're looking forward to your EDC set. And definitely, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this Dead Mouse thing ends, you know? I was looking forward to the boxing match a little bit. But, you know, thanks so much for sitting with us.
Thank you, man.
And having this conversation as DJs. We really appreciate it. James Hype, thank you so much. Thank you. If you want to watch more episodes from R.O.A.D Podcast, click either links on the left or the right. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and get updated on new uploads throughout the week. Peace.